Welcome back, dear student, to CFA Program Exam Preparation. This is Study Session 5, Reading 14. Today's topic is Economics of Regulation. 1. Introduction to Economics of Regulation. Proactive regulations address expected consequences of future changes in the environment. Reactive regulations address changes in the environment that have occurred in the past. Regulatory framework, set of rules or standards of conduct. 2. Economic rationale for regulation. 2.1 Rationale for the regulation of financial markets. Securities regulations include monitoring and supervision of financial institutions, registration requirements, disclosure requirements. Objectives of financial market regulation may include investor protection, stability and integrity of financial institutions and markets, promoting capital formation and meeting macroeconomic goals. 2.2 Regulation of commerce. The major role of government regulation is to facilitate business and investment decisions, promote trade, regional/global, support local business interests. Competition and antitrust laws prohibit anti-competitive acts like price discrimination, predatory pricing, monopolistic conduct. 3. Regulation of regulatory tools. 3.1 Classification of regulations and regulators. Classification of regulators. A legislative bodies, they have the authority to enact laws, called statutes, at a broad level. B. Regulatory bodies, they have the legal authority to enact and enforce rules and regulations. These include A. Government agencies. B. Independent regulators. C. Courts, interpret regulations and laws and impose sanctions for regulatory violations. Classification of regulations. A. Statutes. B. Administrative regulations or administrative law. C. Judicial law. Accounting standard setting bodies, typically, they are private sector, non-profit, self-regulated organizations, e.g. IASB and FASB. Credit ratings agencies, typically, they are private sector, profit-oriented entities. Self-regulatory organization, SRO, is a self-regulating, private, non-governmental organization and an independent regulator that is recognized by a government agency or body. Statutory boards are non-government entities, but they are subject to specific legislations that govern their operations. Credit ratings agencies, typically, they are private sector, profit-oriented entities. Classification of laws and regulation based on difference between development and enforcement of regulation. A. Substantive law, define their legal rights and responsibilities. B. Procedural law, enforce the substantive laws. 3.2 Regulatory interdependencies. Regulatory capture theory. According to this theory, regulatory agency will be controlled by the industry being regulated. Regulatory competition, a situation where regulators compete among themselves by providing a favorable regulatory environment to certain entities. Regulatory arbitrage, a situation when entities take advantage of loopholes in regulatory systems to avoid certain types of regulation. Objectives of Basel Committee/Bank Supervisor. To regulate and monitor the safety of financial institutions. To promote financial stability. To reduce system-wide risks. To protect customers of financial institutions. Objectives of Securities Commissions, per IOSCO. To protect investors. To ensure that markets function in a fair and efficient. To reduce systematic risk. 3.3 Regulatory tools. Regulatory tools. A. Price mechanisms are used to create the appropriate marginal incentives and to efficiently allocate resources. These include I. Taxes. 2. Subsidies. Objectives of Securities Commissions, per IOSCO. B. Regulatory mandates and restrictions on behaviors. Coase theorem, when an externality can be traded and there are no transaction costs, the socially efficient outcome will occur regardless of the initial allocation of property rights. Regulatory responses may include conflict of interest policies, trading restrictions on insiders. 4. Analysis of regulation. 4.1 Rationale for the regulation of financial markets. Net regulatory burden equals private costs of regulation, private benefits of regulation. 4.2 Regulation of commerce. Some common steps analysts should take to assess the impacts of existing/proposed regulations on the current or future prospects for companies/industries are: assessment of the likelihood of regulatory change, assessment of the impact of regulatory change on a sector, Dear students, our topic is completed here. Thank you everyone. We hope this information is useful to you. If you are willing to continue with these lessons, subscribe to the channel. To find more videos, quickly like and share the videos. You can also ask the question in comments, we will happy to answer. Here is some glossary of words to help in reading.